Welcome back on this Mother's Day. Andrea Bacigalupo stays with us, and she is joined by her mother, Maria Bacigalupo. Welcome, Maria. Welcome to Mosaic. Thank you for taking time to be here. Now, you have raised 5 children?
Yes. Yes, I have 5 children.
And you have grandchildren?
I have 13 grandchildren and 4 great-grandchildren.
Scattered around the state of California?
Yes, yes, yes.
And you raised in Visalia, is that right?
Visalia, yes, yes. A little farming community that when I first went there in 1952, there were only 12,500 people. And when I left it, well, after my husband died, 2 years later, I returned to San Francisco because that had been my home. We had married here and in 1950 and ended up in Visalia. And we had been there for over 40 years. So it was quite a change for me.
As you look at, you're raising 5 children in a town of 12,000 people, and
yes.
You look at your daughter raising 2 young boys in the Bay Area. What's same and different? What's same and what's different?
Yes, but that was 50 years ago, you know, because my oldest boy is 55. So there was a change, you know, from in 50 years from that.
How so?
Well, I think being that it was a farming community versus a big city, you know, I don't know what it would have been like if I'd had to raise my children here in the city, although this is where I had been from, but nevertheless, I think raising them in this little country town was just the thing, except that there are now over 100,000 people in Visalia.
Moves toward it. How often do you get to see Andrea and your grandsons?
I would say about once a week at least, by phone every other day, if not even twice a day. We'll talk. Because she does have 2 of my youngest grandchildren. I mean, my other grandchildren are, you know, really in college and older. So they are the younger ones, the 2 youngest, Teddy and Hampton. So
and they're in Oakland, so you're in the East Bay, and you're living in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
So how often do you get ferrying kids around in the urban area? What do you all do together when you get together?
Well, sometimes it's literally the ferrying. You know, we'll employ different modes of transportation to make it fun for ourselves and also to be able to see my mother. So we may take the ferry, we may take BART and get around on public transportation. Sometimes we bring our bikes and we'll stop to see my mother for a while so she can say hello to the boys and to Robert, and then we may take off on our bikes and go for a bike ride, something like that. And sometimes we'll eat out together, which is really an adventure since yes. I have 2 small children. And sometimes we'll just visit.
Well, and I live in a great area. I live in the Marina District. I'm only 2.5 blocks up from the Marina Green. So it is wonderful for the children when they come that either Robert, my son-in-law, can go down with them on their bikes, or even Andrea and Robert will go together and they'll spend time down there and then come back. And
so you make time for each other.
Oh, of course, yes. Of course, very much so.
And that's important in your lives. Now, also, 2 of us here are getting older as the years run on. Are there challenges with that as you age?
Oh yes, very much so. And in fact, that's the only thing that I regret, that I'm as old as I am, and that I'm limited in my being able to actually be more physical with my grandchildren. And that's happened since I returned to San Francisco in the last few years. I'm getting old.
How do you, and How do you deal with that, increasing physical limitation? I mean,
well, I do the best that I can. I mean, and everyone is always very helpful to me. I mean, I do use a cane now most times just to get around, and I find that I'm falling apart bit by bit, you know. So but my children, and I have another daughter who lives in Pleasanton, and she's my oldest daughter, and she comes over at least once a week to check me out. She is a registered nurse.
So a lot of family support.
Oh yes, very much so.
Joanne was talking about things she wanted to instill in her children. A couple of things that you think you did well in instilling in your kids.
Oh, I think of just being happy with whatever situation that you're involved in, you know, and working as best that you can to have your family with certain values to be instilled in them, of which we tried to when we were raising our 5 children in Visalia. And I think that Andrea very much has accomplished that. She's very loving with her family.
Okay. Best thing, one of the best things your mom taught you, instilled in you?
Well, as she was talking, one thing that I'm remembering is that she always talked that it was important to her that we care about each other as siblings, and how important that was to her, that we care about each other. And with having, you know, the 2 boys, I feel like I want that for them as well, that as they go through life, they care for each other and have each other. And
we're going to have to take a break on that. Maria, Andrea Bacigalupo, thanks for spending Mother's Day with us. Blessings. When we come back, children and art, something you can do just in the next week. Stay with us. We'll be right back.